What would you do if one day you woke up and realized that simple things, cooking a meal, climbing the stairs, or even getting dressed, had become a challenge? Would you immediately pack your bags for a nursing home, or would you stop and consider the alternatives? Aging is inevitable, but how we handle it isn't a one-size-fits-all journey. Here in America, we've been led to believe that once you start struggling with daily tasks, the next step is a facility where professionals take over. But is that really the only choice? What if there were other ways? Ways that allowed you to hold on to your independence, your dignity, and most importantly, the life you've built over the years. Today, I want to share something deeply personal. Stories of people just like you and me who found different ways to navigate this stage of life. These aren't just feel-good anecdotes. They're real, powerful examples of resilience, creativity, and determination. Some turned to technology, others found strength in their communities, and a few even embraced adventure in ways that defy expectations. Because here's the truth. Losing some abilities doesn't mean losing yourself. It doesn't mean giving up on the things that bring you joy. And it certainly doesn't mean you have to trade a lifetime of memories for an unfamiliar place that may not feel like home. So stick around, because these 6 stories might just change the way you see aging. You might even find a path that speaks to you, one that allows you to keep living on your own terms. 1. The determined veteran who fought for his independence. As we explore the different ways people choose to navigate aging, one thing becomes clear. Independence isn't just about physical ability. It's about mindset, determination, and a willingness to adapt. That's exactly what Frank, an 86-year-old veteran, demonstrated when faced with a difficult decision. Frank had always been a man of routine and resilience. A former Marine, he approached life with discipline, waking up early for his morning walks, handling small repairs around the house, and staying active in his community. He took pride in his ability to care for himself, and despite his age, he wasn't ready to slow down. But life had other plans. One afternoon, while reaching for a book on the top shelf, Frank lost his balance and fell. It wasn't a major accident. No broken bones, just a few bruises. But it was enough to send a wave of concern through his family. His son, David, insisted it was time to think about moving into assisted living. "Dad, it's for your own good," David urged. "You don't have to worry about cooking, cleaning, or getting hurt." Frank understood his son's concern, but he wasn't ready to trade his independence for safety just yet. He knew that moving to a facility might mean giving up control over his daily routine, his home, and even small things like choosing his meals or when to go outside. Instead of surrendering to the idea that he was no longer capable, he decided to make changes that would allow him to stay where he felt most comfortable, his own home. He consulted his doctor and a physical therapist, who helped him build strength and improve his balance. He installed grab bars in his bathroom, rearranged furniture to reduce tripping hazards, and even switched to a bed that was easier to get in and out of. To ease his family's worries, he hired a home health aide for a few hours each day to assist with household tasks and check in on him. Frank's story is a testament to the idea that growing older doesn't have to mean giving up control. With planning, support, and a bit of determination, many seniors can continue living independently while still prioritizing their safety. His journey reminds us that sometimes the best solution isn't an entirely new environment. It's adjusting the one we already call home. 2. The unexpected second chapter of a retired nurse. Now, we meet Margaret, a retired nurse in her late 70s, who faced an entirely different challenge, one that many older adults experience. For decades, Margaret dedicated her life to caring for others, working long shifts at the hospital, and later supporting her community through volunteer work. But when her own health began to decline, she suddenly found herself on the other side of the equation, the one in need of care. It started with subtle changes. Climbing stairs became harder, and simple tasks like carrying groceries left her feeling exhausted. Her children, deeply concerned, insisted that moving into a nursing home was the safest choice. "Mom, you spent your life looking after others. Let someone take care of you now," they reasoned. Margaret understood their fears, but deep down, she wasn't ready to accept that her life was narrowing down to just being looked after. She wanted to continue making a difference even in this new phase of life. So, instead of a traditional nursing home, Margaret made a bold decision. She moved into an independent senior living co-op. Unlike assisted living, this setup allowed her to maintain her autonomy while being part of a supportive community. At first, it was an adjustment. She missed her old home, her routines, and even the sense of responsibility that had defined her for so long. But within weeks, something unexpected happened. Margaret found a renewed sense of purpose. With her background in nursing, she began offering informal wellness workshops to other residents. She taught stretching exercises to improve mobility, shared tips on managing chronic conditions, and even helped others navigate their medications. Before long, her small gatherings turned into regular community events, and Margaret found herself busier and more fulfilled than she had been in years. She wasn't just adjusting to a new way of living, she was thriving in it. Through teaching, connecting, and supporting others, she discovered that purpose doesn't retire just because we do. Her story is a powerful reminder that the right environment can bring fresh energy, new friendships, and even unexpected joy. Sometimes, embracing change isn't about letting go of the past. It's about stepping into an exciting new chapter, filled with opportunities to grow and contribute in meaningful ways. 3. The 73-year-old adventurer who refused to settle. Let's turn to Edward, a man who saw his 70s not as a time to slow down, but as a chance to finally embrace adventure. At 73, most people assumed Edward would settle into a quiet, predictable routine. Some even suggested it was time to move into a nursing home, where he could receive the care and stability expected for someone his age. But Edward had no interest in sitting still. Instead, he made a decision that shocked his friends and family. He packed up his belongings, climbed into an RV, and set off on a solo cross-country journey. It wasn't an easy choice. There were concerns about his health, his stamina, and the unpredictable nature of life on the road, but Edward had spent too many years living cautiously, and he wasn't about to let age define his limits. He carefully mapped out his route, planned regular rest stops, and made sure he had access to medical resources along the way. From the towering peaks of the Rocky Mountains to the golden beaches of California, Edward found himself experiencing more in his 70s than he had in decades. He watched the sunrise over the Grand Canyon, walked the historic streets of Charleston, and even took a boat ride through the Everglades. Each destination brought a new sense of wonder, and with every mile, he proved that adventure has no expiration date. Of course, the journey wasn't without its challenges. There were days when his energy ran low, and nights when he wondered if he had taken on more than he could handle. But through it all, Edward discovered something profound. The real risk in life isn't trying something new, it's never trying at all. His story is a testament to the fact that aging doesn't have to mean settling. It can be an opportunity to finally do the things you never got around to. Whether it's traveling, learning a new skill, or simply stepping outside of your comfort zone, there is no age limit on dreams. If there's something you've always wanted to do, why wait? The best time to start is now. If you've made it this far, I hope these stories have given you valuable insight and reassurance about aging on your own terms. If you found this inspiring, please subscribe and share it with someone who might benefit from this message. Now, let's continue. 4. The grandma who became a tech-savvy, independent woman. Our next story is about Ruth, a woman who found independence not on the road, but through the power of technology. At 81, Ruth prided herself on living in the home she had cherished for decades, but daily tasks were becoming harder. Cooking meals felt exhausting, Getting around wasn't as easy as it once was, and she struggled with small things, like remembering appointments or refilling prescriptions. Her children gently suggested that moving into a senior care facility might be the best option. But Ruth wasn't ready to give up her home, her routines, or her independence. Determined to find a way, she turned to an unexpected solution: technology. At first, the idea seemed overwhelming. Smartphones, voice assistants, and smart home devices felt foreign to her. But with patience and guidance from her grandchildren, Ruth slowly started learning. She began with simple things, like using a smart speaker to set reminders and play music. Then she discovered online grocery shopping, which allowed her to get fresh food delivered straight to her door. Soon, she was controlling her lights, thermostat, and even her security system, all with her voice. One of the biggest game changers was telemedicine. Instead of struggling to arrange transportation to doctors' offices, Ruth learned how to have virtual appointments with her physician. With a few taps on her tablet, she could check in on her health without ever leaving home. Over time, Ruth transformed into a tech-savvy senior, navigating apps and devices with confidence. She no longer worried about forgetting important dates, because her digital calendar kept her on track. Video calls kept her connected to family, even when they were miles away. She even joined an online book club, making new friends without ever leaving her living room. Her journey proves an important point. Technology isn't just for the young. It's a powerful tool that can help seniors maintain their independence, stay connected, and improve their quality of life. While learning something new can feel intimidating, Ruth's story reminds us that with patience and persistence, the benefits are life-changing. Aging doesn't have to mean giving up control. By embracing the right tools, seniors can continue living life on their own terms, strong, independent, and more connected than ever. 5. The gardener who adapted instead of giving up. Let's look at Henry, a man who refused to let physical limitations take away his greatest joy: gardening. For as long as he could remember, Henry found peace and fulfillment in the soil. The scent of freshly turned earth, the satisfaction of watching a tiny seed blossom into something beautiful, and the simple pleasure of working outdoors had been constants in his life. His backyard had always been his sanctuary, filled with colorful flowers, vibrant vegetables, and towering tomato plants. But as he entered his late 70s, arthritis began to slow him down. Kneeling for long periods became painful. Gripping gardening tools was difficult, and the bending and lifting left him sore for days. Tasks that once felt effortless now felt exhausting. For a while, he considered giving up his garden altogether. His children suggested that it might be time to scale back, maybe even move somewhere without the demands of yard work. But Henry wasn't ready to let go of something that had brought him so much joy. Instead of giving up, he adapted. He started by switching to raised garden beds, which allowed him to tend to his plants without excessive bending. He added potted plants on waist-high shelves, making it easier to care for his flowers and herbs. When some tasks became too strenuous, he enlisted the help of a local community gardening group, where he could still be involved without doing all the heavy lifting himself. This shift wasn't just practical, it was empowering. Henry realized that while his body had changed, his passion hadn't. With the right adjustments, he could continue doing what he loved in a way that suited his abilities. His story carries a powerful message. Aging isn't about giving up. It's about finding new ways to enjoy life without overexertion. Many lifelong hobbies can be adapted, whether it's switching to lighter tools, modifying the environment, or accepting help when needed. Henry's garden still flourishes, just like his spirit, and in the process, he teaches us all a valuable lesson. Our passions don't have to fade with age. With a little creativity and flexibility, we can continue nurturing what makes us happy, no matter how life changes. 6. The grandmother who turned her home into a family legacy. Now, We introduce Mildred, a woman whose home was far more than just four walls. It was the heart of her family's history. At 85, Mildred's children began gently suggesting that it might be time to consider a nursing home or assisted living. They worried about her safety. What if she fell? What if she needed help in the middle of the night? They wanted the best for her, but for Mildred, the thought of leaving her home was heartbreaking. This wasn't just any house. It was where she had raised her children, where laughter had echoed through the hallways, where birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays had been celebrated for decades. Every corner held a memory, from the well-worn kitchen table where meals were shared to the living room where her grandchildren curled up to hear her stories. Moving out felt like leaving behind a piece of herself. But instead of giving in to the pressure, Mildred and her family found a solution, one that allowed her to stay in the place she loved while ensuring her safety and well-being. Her children took turns checking in on her, staying overnight when needed. A part-time caregiver helped with household tasks, making sure she had everything she needed without feeling overwhelmed. Mildred also had a medical alert system installed, giving both her and her family peace of mind in case of emergencies. The result? Not only did Mildred get to stay in her cherished home, but her family bonds also grew even stronger. Her children and grandchildren visited more frequently, creating new memories in the same spaces that had once been filled with their childhood laughter. Instead of feeling like a burden, she felt more connected than ever. Mildred's story carries a deep and meaningful lesson. Sometimes, the best place to be is right where you are. Aging doesn't have to mean leaving behind everything familiar. With the right support, whether it's family involvement, home modifications, or part-time assistance, many seniors can continue living in the homes they love. For Mildred, staying home wasn't just about comfort. It was about continuing a legacy. And through her determination, she proved that a house isn't just a place. It's a lifetime of love, history, and belonging. Looking back at these inspiring journeys, here's a truth worth remembering. Aging is not the end of independence, purpose, or adventure. It's an opportunity to redefine them. Getting older is not about giving up. It's about finding new ways to keep living fully. Whether it's modifying your surroundings, learning something new, or leaning on a supportive community, there are countless ways to age on your own terms. So, which of these stories inspired you the most? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps us reach more people who need these practical, life-enhancing insights.